Many of you have heard the phrase before, if you blink, you'll miss it. Well, this is one of those stories where your eyes could have been peeled wide open and you would have had a better chance at locating Waldo inside of a candy cane shop before discovering the story or the person that I'm about to talk about in this video. Now, I don't know how long this video is going to be because what I'm going to talk about involving this individual by the name of Christopher Polhaus is expanded over 3 articles. The first article that I'm going to read to you is basically giving you an introduction to who Christopher Polhaus is. The second one is going to talk more about an update of where he is now and what he's doing. Like a lot of people, what he's doing was completely under the radar until someone was able to grasp what he was doing and turn it into a story. And the third article, which is probably the lengthier of the 3, is going to expound more on the second article. But I'm going to start with the first one and we're going to move on from there. Christopher Polhaus. And by the way, this first article is from December of 2022. So I'm going back and then I'm coming forward. A neo-Nazi and extremist influencer on encrypted messaging apps is living in Maine, according to reporting by Vice News. Vice was able to identify Polas and a crowd of National Social Club 131 members who showed up and marched around Kennedy Park in Lewiston in October. The showing, according to bystanders, was confusing as not many know about the group. It was very concerning to see this display of hate, Julia Harper of Lewiston said. Vice News reporter Ben McCook, who covers national extremism, said this big showing of a neo-Nazi group should raise concern among Mainers. Even this many men showing up and doing that, it's my experience on this beat that's never good, and I think people in Maine and in New England should take notice, McCook said. If you think this kind of thing can't happen in your state, it will, and if it can, if there is nothing to resist against it. McCook said Polhaus' influence on working with NSC 131 should be also noticed. He was someone who really showed up on the radar of people who watched this space. He ended up having a connection to one of the infamous January 6 attackers. In an interview with Vice News, Polas said it's not about getting along with people of other races, but about power. Where does the Aryan get to cash out? We bled out a lot since the Civil War, Polas told Vice News. It's literal power. But for the people who advocate for refugees and immigrants in Lewiston, the presence of NSC 131, even with an extremist influencer tagging along, does not deter their efforts. They don't know who we are, and they cannot instill fear in us. Together we thrive. We have established tolerance, Fatuma Hussein said. Hussein started the Immigrant Resource Center of Maine in the early 2000s in response to the influx of refugees to Maine. She said then hate groups wrote letters to deter them. They showed up, we stood together as a community, and we came out of it as one larger community, Hussein said. We came from the war-torn backgrounds and we have a second chance of life. This group and the noise they make does not do anything to us. On October 18th, Lewiston city councilors voted to approve a resolution which they said condemned the presence of the neo-Nazi group. The resolution passed explicitly states we reject white supremacy, condemn white supremacists, and repudiates neo-Nazi groups. Lewiston has no appetite for such heinous acts displayed by these hate groups. Angeline Amores, the marketing director for the city of Lewiston, said. But Mayor Shalene said the councilors approved a watered down version of the original resolution he proposed. I am deeply disappointed with the amendment that was passed last night. This shouldn't have been a debate. Council members should have clearly denounced neo-Nazism and white supremacy without watering down the resolution's original clear message. Our entire city, and particularly the people targeted by the neo-Nazi group, deserves better, Shalene said in an email to News Center Maine. The resolution passed did not state any legal action against the neo-Nazi group. Police told News Center Maine there is nothing they could do about the march, as they said it did not infringe on anyone's safety. So as you can see, they basically are getting away with something already. And mind you, it's a reason why they chose Maine. It's a reason why they chose Maine, which is actually going to segue me into the next article. So the last article that I read was from December of 2022. Now we're leaping all the way forward to August 1st. with this article right here. This article was posted August 1st and it was actually updated on August 2nd. And by the way, I'm recording this video on August 4th. It says neo-Nazi buys Penobscot County land to build white supremacist community. This is the same area that he was in back in December from the article that I just read. When it comes to the neo-Nazi extremist movement, Christopher Polhaus is considered a man with a significant following. Speaking to his followers on the social media app Telegram, he documented his move to Maine and his desire to recruit white people to live and build a community there with him. There will likely not be another chance in my lifetime to fight alongside other NS men against a multi-ethnic invading empire to defend an almost all-white nation. Starting in 2023, Polas had purchased land in the town of Springfield. County records show he purchased about 10 acres of land for $25,000. He told the Southern Poverty Law Center he has around 100 acres under the construction with the hopes of building homes and facilities for training. He moved from Texas to Maine to try and build this group. Jeff Tschauser, a senior research analyst at the Southern Poverty Law Center, said, "What they are doing at the camp right now is building it. They're clearing trees and making space to build a structure." News Center Maine reached out to Polas over email but did not hear back. When it comes to those that live in Springfield, they are aware of the neo-Nazis' presence and said community members are concerned. I think no one has come right out and said it, but from reading the different articles, it's obvious that is what he is trying to do. A person working in Springfield said, "I think they are concerned." The person working in Springfield asked to not be named as she feared retaliation. "We are just a pretty close-knit community. We generally know everyone, but once in a while someone comes through like this one that we don't know." Maine State Police confirmed Tuesday it is aware of Polas' actions but has not made contact with him. For people researching domestic terrorism like University of Maine professor Karen Sporer, this isn't the first time someone has tried to establish a white-only community. All of them ended in some sort of violent interaction, Sporer said. These spaces provide an escape from the mainstream where they can spew their rhetoric without being doxxed or outed from the community. Sporer said within these groups, their goal may be isolation, but violence leaks into nearby communities. Say if there was a drag queen event at the Bangor Public Library, they could easily mobilize and go to the event. When it comes to taking these threats seriously, one thing is making sure local sheriffs take this seriously. Sporer said local law enforcement needs to monitor these groups such as Polas' community and NSC 131 in order to stop them from before violence occurs. The reminder of how important it is for early prevention practices when it comes to preventing radicalization in the first place. We saw this occur when Portland police responded to a neo-Nazi march by NSC 131 members on April 1st. No one was arrested by police. Community members protested and criticized the city and department for how they handled the incident. After a month-long investigation, the city suggested hate crime and First Amendment training for officers. Like that's going to do anything. News Center Maine asked the Portland police for an interview about how that training is going, but it was declined. So as you can tell by this particular article, now it's going into this guy, and I believe that's him right there in the picture. Now they're going more in depth with, okay, he's been scoping out this area for a while. He's basically building up an enclave and he's built a community for his group and for his tribe, and how the residents out there are responding to it. Now we know the state of Maine is pretty lily white. I don't know if there's even one single full-on black person that lives there. It might be, but they are literally a speck of salt, a speck of pepper in a sea of salt, if you catch the analogy. So this particular article right here, again, is basically now you're getting an update. He's built this tribe. He's starting to build this community. Now, the last article I'm going to read, which I believe is the more lengthy of the two articles, like I said, is actually going to go in full blown detail about what this guy is doing. Like, it's going to give you like almost a full rundown. So this one is it right here. Now, even though granted this one was posted before the previous article, but I wanted to read that one first because that one was a smaller version of this article. Now, this article is coming straight off of the SPLC, or the Southern Poverty Law Center. So they go into way more detail. So as you can see on the screen, it says neo-Nazi ex-Marine buys up land in rural Maine for a blood tribe. But pay attention to the subheading right here. Since the beginning of 2023, neo-Nazi and ex-Marine Christopher Alan Polhaus has ramped up his efforts to create a white supremacist enclave in Maine by accumulating rural property, soliciting cryptocurrency donations on Telegram, and embarking on a cross-country recruiting trip, according to messages Polas posted to Telegram. So as you can see, this guy is on a mission, and right now his mission seems to be, let's just say, fulfilling itself. Let's just be frank. Maine's a white state, has always been a super white state. Let's keep it the way it is, Polas said in a May 11th interview with a journalist that Polas recorded and posted to Telegram. Polas, who has led members of his swastika-toting blood tribe to disrupt community events in Ohio 3 times, appears to be in the early stages of building a headquarters for his group near Springfield, Maine. Now that's interesting. They said that they've led events to disrupt academy. For those of y'all who are new to the channel, when I say academy, I'm talking about the LGBT community in Ohio 3 times. Mind you, they're based out of Maine. And they said they went over there 3 times. Now, I don't know if they was in Ohio and then they went to Maine, but it said they went over there 3 times. I would like to know, you know, they always love to say that black people are the most homophobic, yet this guy led a charge against academy events not once, not twice, but 3 times. I hardly believe there was any black person in this group, considering we already know what their mission statement is. Like, they're trying to maintain a certain level of whiteness. If not, if they can completely let it be overran with whiteness, they would. Over the past 4 months, Polas also appears to have brought in his network of extremist connections, along with his previously reported connections to the neo-Nazi Nationalist Social Club, or NSC 131. In a convicted January 6th rioter, Riley June Williams, Polas recently posted images of blood ritual initiations and has claimed associations with neo-Nazi activists and publishers around the country. "Whatever, you doxed me. Whatever, old news," Polas said in a voice message in response to a request for comment Hate Watch sent via Telegram. When asked what he would say to Springfield residents who may be concerned about the existence of a neo-Nazi compound in their community, Polas said, "The people in Springfield know me. I see them all the time. Everybody knows who I am. It's a town of 400 people. Nobody doesn't know who the fuck I am when I walk in anywhere in Springfield, Lee, and Lincoln. Everybody knows who the fuck they're looking at." Lincoln is a town about 20 miles west of Springfield. Lee is located about 9 miles east of Springfield. "I had to move somewhere, you know. You guys are so weird," Polas said. Google breaking news. Nazi buys a piece of property. Tell everybody, run the presses, he owns property. What the fuck do you expect me to do? What do you expect me to go? Where do you expect me to go? You want me to go to your neighborhood? Why are you guys so goddamn awkward? This isn't a news story. Polas, see, this guy's so emboldened, he's telling them like to basically back the hell off, and they just like go with it in stride. Polas also goes by the online moniker The Hammer. Reportedly moved to Maine in 2022 to build a white supremacist community that will provide a place for the blood tribe to network, strategize, and train. In a video Polas posted on Telegram on January 20th, 2023, he updated his followers on his plans to build a headquarters for his group. Polas claims in the video that the blood tribe has more than 120 acres already, including a 10-acre spot he describes as the main camp. All the land is apparently north of Bangor, Maine, which is ideal for its remoteness, according to Polas' account in the video. In it, Polas also claims his group is in the process of purchasing a neighboring 10-acre property that comes with all the utilities we need: septic, well, electric, and a whole cabin. He claimed purchase of this property would cut 1 year off the group's original plans to build a base of operations for the group. A Hate Watch investigation has identified the location of the proposed Maine camp in Springfield, Maine, which sits near the intersection of Moores Road and Bottle Lake Road. After receiving a tip from a concerned resident who spotted Polas at a local gym, Hate Watch found a quitclaim deed and mortgage deed filed with the Penobscot Country Registry or County Registry of Deeds that identifies Polas and his associate Fred Boyd Ramey as the buyers of the property. A quitclaim deed is a document in which the seller renounces their legal rights to a property according to real estate listing websites. Ramey signed the mortgage deed on March 8th. Polas' signature does not appear, but he is identified as a buyer in the document. On March 11th in Wadsworth, Ohio, Polas and Ramey were seen screaming obscenities and slurs at participants of an Academy inclusive event, according to a video posted on TikTok and YouTube. Polas and Ramey do not conceal their identities. Ramey received attention in 2020 when he was featured in a commercial for Andrew Yang, who was then a Democratic presidential candidate. Hate Watch sent a request for comment to an email address associated with Ramey and found on data broker websites, but did not receive a response. The documents Polas and Ramey signed do not identify an address for the property. Instead, the documents identify a lot number, a land survey plan, and a map file number for property. The document shows that Polas and Ramey paid $25,110 to purchase a 10.6 acre property, which is identified in the document as Lot 3 in the Dead River Company survey plan of South Springfield Subdivision 2. The mortgage deed for the property shows that Polas and Ramey signed a $25,000 promissory note for Lot 3 to be paid back over the course of 4 years, which corresponds to a video message Polas posted on Instagram February 18th claiming that he purchased the Maine camp property via owner financing. According to Forbes, owner financing provides a faster way for sellers to close a sale while helping people who don't qualify for just traditional mortgages buy property. In other words, Polas and Ramey are paying for the property in installments over a period of 4 years that began in March 11, 2022, according to the document. The exact terms of the owner finance mortgage do not appear in the document. After locating the deeds, Hate Watch then found the survey plan and map filed in 1989 with Penobscot County. The Dead River Company survey plan of South Springfield Subdivision 2 delineates several lots, including a Lot 3, which is the lot number listed on the deeds Polas and Ramey signed. The survey plan also identifies 2 roads that were renamed in the 1990s in an effort by the county to make 911 emergency calls easier to dispatch, according to the Penobscot County Assessor's Office. According to the survey plan, the main camp for the Blood Tribe is located at Lot 3 on Moores Road. Real estate listings for this property are online, included a description of the 10.6 acre property, which is the exact lot size identified in the deeds Polas and Ramey signed. The planned Maine camp also appears to be observable using imagery from Google Earth that was updated in 2023. On Google Earth, a clearing in the trees is observable, as is a work truck, which corresponds to the January 20th video message Polas posted on Telegram claiming he was starting to cut down trees on the property. In video and audio messages Polas posted to Telegram, he explains his goal for the campus to build residences and communal spaces on the property for members of his neo-Nazi group. According to photographs posted to Telegram over the past year, Polas and members of his neo-Nazi group have slept in tents when visiting the property overnight. Polas' main residence is currently off-site in an undisclosed location. In the January 20th video posted to Telegram, Polas claims to be in the process of acquiring a neighboring property to the main camp. However, a recent search of property records does not show Polas or any of his associates buying an adjoining property. How Polas or Ramey can afford to purchase land in Maine is unclear. Polas is widely known within the white supremacist movement as a tattoo artist, and he claims to earn enough income to live comfortably. For instance, in July 2022, Polas posted a photograph of a skull and bones he tattooed on John Menadeo's left arm. Nazis appropriated the skull and bone symbol, which is known as the Totenkopf, the German word for skull. It is now used within the white supremacist groups. Menadeo, who is also known as Handsome Truth, is the leader of the Goyim Defense League, an anti-Semitic hate group known mostly for screaming on street corners at people as they perceive as Jewish, as well as posting anti-Semitic flyers and banners. And that goes back to another particular group, a certain group, them folks who love to say black people are the most anti-Semitic. I swear they put whatever they can, that whatever label they put on us usually should be attached to another group, such as this one that I'm talking about right now. On January 18th, the day before Polas created his latest channel on Telegram, the SPLC Intelligence Project Data Lab found that someone set a Bitcoin payment worth $208.71 to NSC 131, a neo-Nazi hate group based in New England that Polas has recently worked closely with since moving to Maine. Another payment worth $607.36 was sent to the Coinbase donation address for the Blood Tribe. This is the first time the Data Lab has observed a Telegram bot being used to issue cryptocurrency donations to a hate group. While appearing on a white supremacist podcast on May 6th, Polas claims to receive a percentage of sales from neo-Nazi book publisher. Responding to questions about the publisher, Polas states, "Yeah, that's Grandpa Blood Tribe. I make a certain percentage off of the stuff that I sell, and we're looking to increase that and have more inventory." For his part, Ramey is listed as the owner of White Working Class Consulting LLC, according to business records. The business, which is licensed in Wyoming, uses a residential address in Cheyenne that is listed as the primary residence of Ramey, according to data brokers. It is unclear what services Ramey's business provides to customers. Polas recently finished a 4-month cross-country trip in May, in which he claims to have driven 10,000 miles to recruit, organize, and grow his group, according to messages and interviews he has given on far-right podcasts. In his response to Hate Watch, Polas confirmed that he did indeed drive 10,000 miles. Polas' Telegram channel is littered with photographs and names of places and groups he visited on his trip. In a February 18th video posted on Telegram, Polas states that he decided to take the trip after the FBI visited his normie support network as well as the realtor that sold me my land. He continues, "They visited the guy that I'm owner financed through and who I was initiating a new deal with for more land." Polas also claims that he is financing the trip by tattooing supporters along the way. He also states that he will be in the North Midwest soon. Hate Watch left several messages on the FBI field office that oversees Maine but did not receive a response prior to publication. A spokesperson for the Maine State Police confirmed that they are aware that Polas is in the state but have not had any involvement with him so far. In other words, to me, it sounds like they don't care. So it seems to me also the people that have a problem with this dude in Maine, they on their own. Because based on just that part that I read right there, in the previous article where they was basically stating some of the same thing, they literally are left to fend for themselves. It's almost to the point where they say, well, there's really nothing we can do unless something actually pops off. But you heard what one of the people said in the previous article. Stuff has happened in the past. So this is nothing new. And they fear that something else is going to happen again because it's like clockwork. It's pretty much routine at this point. Like, there's not one incident where something like this occurs and nothing or no violence will occur or ensue. In video and audio messages Polas posted to Telegram between February and May, he claims to have visited with like-minded white supremacists in New York, West Virginia, Ohio, Green Bay, Milwaukee, and northern Wisconsin, Chicago, Arkansas, Colorado, Phoenix and Flagstaff, Arizona, Las Vegas, Boise, Idaho, and Salt Lake City. He also talks about meeting with people involved in the Shield Wall Network, which is a white nationalist group led by Billy Roper that is attempting to organize a white supremacist community in Arkansas called Ozarkia. Polas has also been involved with Asastru Folk Assembly, or AFA, an organization that adheres to pre-Christian Norse and Germanic religions and is the largest group within the Neo-Volkic movement. However, Polas clarified to Hate Watch that he is no longer part of that group. If you were paying attention, you realize that me and AFA have parted ways. AFA, like other Neo-Volkic groups, often refer to their spirituality as Odinism or Waltonism, and focus their spiritual beliefs on the survival of descendants of white Europeans and preserving what they view as a dying European cultures. Polas has conducted several initiation rituals that involve men standing around bonfires, a spear, and blood, according to photographs and video he posted to Telegram. He also claimed in a January 20th video message on Telegram to have used the Maine camp in Maine to hold ceremonies related to his white supremacist spiritual beliefs. Polas posted videos and photographs to Telegram on March 17th to document one of these rituals, which he repeated at least 3 other times during his trip. Polas is seen holding a spear as 3 men whose identities are obscured stand around a fire. In the video, Polas is heard off camera saying, "Those who make this oath and keep it, blessed by the gods forever. Those who make this oath and break it, cursed for eternity." After Polas speaks, the 3 unidentified individuals use the spear to pierce their right palms to draw blood. As each person bleeds, they place their bloody palms near the fire. Then wipe the blood on the handle of the spear while Polas repeats, "Gods are watching, keeping you accountable, an oath made, an oath forever." This sounds very cultish. When you start doing blood oaths and blood sacrifices and rituals like this guy's doing, that sounds very, very cultish. During his 10,000-mile trip, Polas gave a March 20th interview on Matt Gerbert's podcast. Gerbert is a white nationalist podcaster that Hate Watch revealed to be a U.S. State Department employee. How interesting. After Gerbert was outed for his racist activities, the State Department suspended him and he moved his family from Washington, D.C. area suburbs to rural West Virginia. I keep telling y'all, when you want to see what your dub S is at, they most likely somewhere in the government. The interview on Gerbert's podcast came a week after Polas made headlines for disrupting an Academy inclusive event in Wadsworth, Ohio. At this event, Polas reportedly led about 20 masked men, all dressed in identical red long sleeve shirts and black pants, and Sieg Heil chants, as well as brandish a black and white swastika flag, all while yelling obscenities at events participant. Sieg Heil is German for Hail Victory and was a slogan adopted by the Nazi Party. On April 29th, Polas returned to Ohio to disrupt another Academy inclusive event, this time in Columbus. Polas was reportedly seen landing a group of about 20 masked men dressed in red and black in violent chants of "There will be blood." After returning to Maine, Polas appeared on a white supremacist podcast on May 6th, in which he talked about why he focuses his efforts on in-person events instead of posting racist propaganda. So what we want to do is maximize aggression, the noise, the volume, while also maximizing safety. And that's another reason why we don't want to engage with any sort of other activism other than in person at our enemy's events. We go to the enemy, scream at them, give them PTSD, and leave. That's a direct quote from them. So it's pretty obvious that one of their primary enemies, or at least one of his primary enemies, is the Academy. The fact that you left from Maine to go to Ohio to seek out this event, which means you had to have known the event was happening, just to disrupt it. And he did it. Remember, he did it 3 times. Like, him and his group did it 3 times. Shows you who apparently, to me, is one of his biggest enemies, is that Academy. To me, that's what I'm gathering from this. Again, to those in the Academy who love to say black people are the most homophobic, here you have this guy right here who literally travels with a group to Ohio 3 times to interrupt a LGBT based event. And you heard what he said. It's one thing to spew stuff online, but that's not enough because you're not in the person's face. He says, no, I would rather go in their face and basically intimidate them. He's instilling fear. He said, you can't really do that online because it's like, online you can pretty much say anything, but it's not the same. So this guy's taking it all the way back. Like, look, I'm getting in your face and I'm going to instill fear in you. He says, I want to cause them PTSD. Those are his words. And that's the whole article right there. So y'all just pretty much got a background on who this Christopher Alan Polhaus person is, what he's doing, where did he begin, so to speak, where he is at now, and with all the stuff that he's been doing up until this point. And this, in my opinion, is only the beginning for him. This is only the beginning for him and his group. The fact that this man drove 10,000 miles cross country, drove, not fly, drove to build up his infrastructure means he is determined, and he doesn't care if he's on notice. He probably enjoys it, the fact that he's on notice, and he doesn't care. The fact that the police up there aren't doing a damn thing lets you know he has the upper hand. The residents up there, if the police ain't going to do nothing, the residents really can't do much because that's their last line of defense. And if their last line of defense is not there, they really can't do anything. All they can do is just be on guard, just in case something does pop off. But I think this is someone we probably should keep our eye on to see what's going on. And you know what's so crazy? He's one of probably several people who has enclaves like this. It's just that his has become put really out there on notice so people know. And the crazy part about it is many of y'all didn't even know who this guy was until I brought this to your attention today, as I did not know who this man was until I saw it in a Discord. And it wasn't in my Discord. It was in someone else's Discord where I came across it. And I said, I'm going to definitely talk about this and present it to my audience. Now, granted, I highly doubt I have any subscribers that live in Maine. I extremely highly doubt that. However, there are probably some enclaves that are in your states. The fact of the matter is, this guy may have his enclave in Maine, but he has traveled to states that I know several of you live in, Ohio being one of them. He traveled there 3 times. They said that he met with people, like he went to Chicago and all. I know I got people that live out there. So while they may not have enclaves that you can see in your dwellings, don't mean that they're not there or they're not traveling there in packs to try to recruit. And like I said, many of you didn't even know who this guy was. So it makes it easy for him to blend in. Now, but see, the thing is, you may see this one time and you may forget later, and you could probably bump into him just out and about and not even know who the hell this dude was. And then it clicks to you like, wait a minute, that's the guy Taurean was talking about. That's that Christopher Alan Polhaus guy. I wonder what he's doing here. Probably to recruit, or probably to interrupt another academy based event. But I just wanted to bring this story to y'all attention. It was a lot. Like I said, this last article was the lengthier of the 3 articles, but I just wanted to bring this to y'all attention mainly because it's all about knowing who your enemy is. You never know. He may be getting in the face of people at the academy today, and then before you know it, he'll be getting in black people's face tomorrow. So don't think that just because, it seems like his primary target is them, that they are his only target. I guarantee they are not. When you know their history, trust and believe me, they have 3 primary targets. The first one, of course, is them folks. They've always had an enemy with them. The academy, as you can see with this guy right here, and black people. Now, I don't know in which order, but I think them folks is probably at the top of the list. Now, when it comes to the academy and black people, that can be interchangeable. But from the looks of it, it seems that at the top of his list definitely is the academy, considering that he went there 3 times. 3 times. But yeah, Christopher Alan Polhaus. Now we see someone else that is on the radar, and he's on their radar too, but he don't give a damn. As you can clearly tell by the statements that he has made, he does not care that he's being watched. Like I said, he probably enjoys the fact that he's being watched. First off, before I even get into this, I don't even like that the name of their page is In Wokeness. You know how I hate that they bastardize that terminology. But anyway, so as you can see right here is this video called Black Owned Tiny Home Village in College Park, GA. First off, shout out to these black individuals for doing this. The homes look lovely and they will look nice. But this person is saying segregation is back. I find it very interesting that the people that push segregation the most and probably will prefer it still be that way are the same ones that are upset when black people do it. But you got Chinatown, Koreatown, Little Italy, and all types of places like that but they want to be and choose to be upset about this. Keep in mind, Chicago is one of the most segregated cities, if not the most segregated city in America, where it benefits everybody else but black people. This is also an example of them talking on both sides of their neck, because they tell black people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, don't rely on welfare and all of that stuff, but we do, and this is the type of response. I decided to have this part inserted in there because for a long time they loved it, like I said in the video, and that's from my page, by the way. That is a clip from my page. I decided to insert it in there because they love to say that whenever we're doing something, it's always seen as segregation. But whenever people like Christopher Alan Polhaus does what he does, then it is what it is. They always like to do the pull yourself up by the bootstraps type of deal. But as you can see in the video I just posted, you have black people doing for self and not out of malice for any other group. This is something they wanted to do for themselves. But let them tell it. They'll try to say, oh, it's being segregation. Meanwhile, people like that will be glad if we were separated. But then they come back and they say stuff like this. They want to be separated from us as long as we're not doing well. If we truly separated, and we're doing well, then that's going to be a problem. If we're separated from them and we're doing poorly, then they're fine with that. See, they always talk out both sides of their neck. And like I said, this was from a video that I retrieved on Twitter, I believe back in May, if I'm not mistaken. And when I went into making this video, that was one of the first videos that came to mind. I just didn't know if I was going to put it into the video or not, but I said, you know what, I already made it this far, let me go ahead and insert it in, because some people may not have seen this video. So you heard it right there, or you saw it right there. Yeah, black people down in Atlanta buying that community to have those tiny homes, and in comes that quote unquote in wokeness page and says segregation is back, or segregation has returned, or whatever. And that's why I said it's not segregation when you're doing for self. So if Christopher Alan Polhaus can do what he's doing, then I see absolutely nothing wrong with what these black people are doing. And like I said, they're not threatening anybody. They're not causing any harm to anyone. They're not disturbing anybody. They're doing their own thing. Isn't that what they always try to tell us that we should be doing, even though we're not taking our moral code and cue from them, from an immoralist group of people? So I see nothing wrong with what they're doing. This in wokeness page is just clearly butthurt.